similar to how kind of the situation, you're being plucked out of a situation and fully controlled. So describe your feelings on that. Were you having these sort of feelings then? Were you interested in the journey, or I'm kind of interested in how you were feeling through this whole event.
Perfect question. I like this. What happened was it was like they told me this 100 times already. When they told me that, I said, "Oh, okay." At this time, I still don't know what's going on. And then we took off. And then from then on, it's a whole other story. Now it's an abduction story.
Okay. So at
from
this
then
point,
on,
you're fully aware. So we've just finally built this story up. You're fully aware of what's going on. You're abducted, man. You're with these beings. You're
right.
where they're going, and the program is in their hands, sort of. You kind of feel like, what do they say in that Batman movie? A little worm on the end of a big hook or something. Okay,
I was just, it just from here on, it was the crazy thing about the whole thing was it was real.
Yeah.
This was really happening. That was the craziest thing about it.
Well, in somebody like myself's mind who hasn't ever been put into that, that I know of, I don't have memory of being put into that situation. It seems like a fantasy to me, but that brings the realism to it. You're here, this is happening. It's a helpless feeling. It's not an excited feeling, maybe, is what I was kind of building up to. But maybe one would still stay excited at that point because you're kind of stuck in that situation, and humans have a way of adapting and overcoming, and you kind of make the best of it. That's kind of a natural instinct, if you ask me. So to move on, you said these beings, upon entering, were very ugly and not human. How did this excite your emotions or senses seeing these beings at this point? What was your feelings towards the beings now that we've realized we're abducted? You may be even checking out the beings at this point. How did you feel about them?
You talking on the moon ride?
Yeah, on the moon ride. You've just checked them out for the
first
time.
I never got to see them. I never got to see them on the moon ride.
I see.
That's not my first. That was my first introduction. That was my first introduction communicating with them. At this time, remember I said I was facing a wall and they were behind me. So I never got to see them at this time. So I didn't get that. The next stage, which is the jail pool.
Okay, I see. So they tell you then you're off to the moon through telepathy at this point. You haven't seen the aliens, just still building the story. I appreciate that. So I understand that you asked why you're off to the moon, and the being said that Earth cannot detect us there, which makes sense.
Yep.
It's my understanding that the dark side of the moon is always dark. We have one side of the moon that always faces the planet as it rotates. I suppose that's kind of the mystery in the dark side of the moon. Hence Pink Floyd and whoever else, Anyway, so that's kind of our excitement with it. Was there any mention from the beings of what will become of you, or what the purpose for the pickup is at this point? Or going to the dark side of the moon as your destination, I suppose. Did they reveal anything, I guess, is what I'm asking.
No, they never really offered me any information unless I asked at that time. So basically, they were just asking questions and just being quiet.
Okay.
And so we went to the moon, and then I blacked out once we landed or whatever, however we got there.
Sure. Again, I'm just hitting you from my perspective as far as what I would think from this side of the chessboard, not even seeing the game of chess. So, yeah, I may be off base with a few things, but cool. I'm just interested.
Oh, that's good.
So this craft, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ricky.
I said, that's good. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So this craft blasts into space. You say not at an instant pace. It's more subtle, and say it took 15 to 30 seconds to reach the moon. Which, if that's subtle, but I think what you're describing is kind of how it felt to ride in the craft. That it wasn't bumpy, and it felt like withdrawing from the Earth or something, I suppose. But you described being able to see the Earth as you left. Was this through a window? When you say metallic object, at first I'm thinking it's solid metal all the way around. Is there a window in the structure? I'm not sure. Was there a window that you saw it fade out of?
I don't know what they call it, but I got to see through the craft like it was transparent.
Okay,
so I don't know.
This was manifesting something, maybe their technology or something that they let you see. Is that right? It wasn't necessarily a window that you were physically looking out of.
No, I don't know what it was.
Okay, cool. So when you see the Earth fade away, many astronauts note to a euphoria or sense of oneness with the universe that comes over them when they're watching the Earth recede out of their window. They also speak of a sort of hysteria that can come along, or kind of freaking out to the situation. What was your emotions? Were you freaking out, or did you feel euphoria? I'll quit hitting on those emotions too much here in just a moment. I'm kind of giving a bit. What did you get any of that?
It's a great question, because they explain that, right, how it felt to leave Earth and to see it as you leave, correct? That was like a wonderful feeling to them, or what you said, correct?
That's right.
And now you've got that times almost affinity for me, because I have to correct you. I got there less than 10 seconds.
Wow.
And I got to see the Earth leave, and then to my right, I saw the moon enter the scene as I was looking at the Earth in less than 10 seconds. Now, it takes them a while to even, they don't pass the moon, you know what I mean? They get to the moon. I passed it. I saw 2 planets out of one window. So to me, it was mass confusion and enjoyment to see it. It was incredible.
Wow. And you're not preparing for it. An astronaut who's leaving the Earth, they prepare, they train, they make all the preparations. You were tossed into this situation, so I can only imagine all the kind of mixed up emotions that you're going through, so pretty wild. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I found it interesting when you explained the feeling of flying in the craft. Can you just quickly explain that kind of feeling? How you move in 10 seconds, but you don't fall over? How does that happen?
Yeah, had no kind of seat belts. No jerking. It was like an elevator, but the thing I can only explain it is humans on Earth, we only experience up and down with the elevator. But when you go sideways diagonal, it's the same feeling, sort of, in a way. Now, I'm just that's just comparing it. That's not saying that's how it works, or that's how you would feel when you were in it. That's how I'm explaining it.
Sure.
So that's how I explain it.
You're not an alien rocket scientist either, so it's not something
you
necessarily have all the physics behind. But yeah, amazing. So you passed up the moon and you did a U-turn maneuver, you say, and sort of came back to the moon. Was this maybe for security, to throw any human detection off, sort of say to create the illusion that you were traveling past the moon and on into the unknown, or did you get any hint of that? I suppose.
That's when I went black.
Okay.
Nothing. I don't know anything after the U-turn. I don't know what they did or what.
Okay, so we hit the blackout, but then to move on past that blackout, and then we're coming back. Upon arrival to the moon, did you have a visual of the dark side of the moon? You said, okay, so we U-turned. You didn't get a visual of the dark side of the moon. You didn't get a visual out of the craft at this point, sort of like you did with the Earth, to kind of see the layout of the base. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So I was going to ask you how many structures, could you produce drawings of the beam structures, crafts that might have, how is this dark side of the moon makeup? I'm trying to build in my mind this base you were on. It was more of a close-up, intimate view that you had with these structures, not with these structures.
Right. It's from the inside out.
It
was from my perspective. It was from the inside out. I saw one time when I was in the gel pool, I saw like a window or some kind of opening real high up. And I saw, it looked like some kind of mountains or something. Like I said, I don't know. But that's just what I saw. But they were hecka high. They were real big.
So you say the gel. I was just moving there. From here you describe one structure specifically, which is shaped like a V. Is how you describe it. I like the description that you gave really well of drilling into metal, but you take the bit out before it punches through the metal and observe the round V-shaped pool that it leaves within, sort of the metallic looking bottom. What I was looking for, though, was the way that the tip of the drill shapes the bottom. That really drew a good picture that you're not just talking about maybe, I don't know, maybe gave me the cylinder shape of the V to that in my mind. It built it in 3D basically. So I would love to see drawings as far as what do the walls of the